Hey, Sea Milk.
Today's topic
is misty mountains. No. There's a view here. It's so beautiful, but you wouldn't know it.
Yeah. Well, you would, because we have photographic evidence.
Yes, there was a beautiful view, but it disappeared, and we're stuck in this mist. And we're gonna head down the mountain.
Yeah.
And
what does this remind you of?
Actually, yesterday I went to use a public bathroom here in Taiwan, and I was blown away. You know why?
Why?
There was toilet paper in it.
Well, fancy that.
Yeah, imagine that, yeah. And in fact, when I was going across America, I couldn't believe it. Even like rural, middle of nowhere tourist,
right,
things. You go in there and there's toilet paper.
Right, it's free.
Like in the middle of Arizona, in the middle of the cacti, there's no electricity. It's like a little stall.
Right.
And there's toilet paper.
Right.
And why is that fascinating?
Because there's no toilet paper in China.
Absolutely.
For free.
So something I found very early on.
I can't hear you. I just realized that.
You're not on?
I can't hear you. This is proof that we use intercoms to talk to each other.
Yeah, hang on. Hello.
Any freaking day now.
Hello?
Dun, 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 dun.
Hello?
Oh
Hello?
boy, when am I going to be able to hear him?
This, by the way, guys, is what we do: is we sit here and we wait for our intercoms to pair up every time.
There she is.
Okay, good.
That's exactly what I just said.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're good, right?
Yep. Let's be careful down this.
Yes, very
Visibility
careful,
is low.
especially with my no brakes bike.
Right.
When I first got to China, there were many an occasion where I actually got caught out because there was no toilet paper. And you're out traveling, and I remember specifically in Xi'an, I was walking on the great. They've got like a wall around the city, and really needed to use the bathroom. And you go use the bathroom, squat toilet, of course. And then there's no toilet paper.
Right.
And I was like, what am I gonna do here? And
what am I gonna do?
I was digging around. I found some like old receipts in my pocket, It's not as bad as my friend who ended up using one of his socks.
No, I was just gonna say, that's not a rare thing.
Yeah.
I've heard the sock story multiple times, and underwear. I've lost a couple of pairs of underwear due to that.
Anyway, there's a reason why there's no toilet paper in the public toilets in China.
Right.
And that's
it's not
because
our fault.
It's because people would steal it. And people do steal it.
Right.
And there's this fantastic case, because recently in Beijing, near the I don't want to get it wrong, but it's probably near the Temple of Heaven, or one of those big tourist attractions, because they're getting more international tourists, they decided they would basically put toilet paper in there.
Right.
But what would happen is the old people would come in the morning and they would literally strip it completely bare. They would come in there, like as soon as the workers had put the new toilet paper in, they would come in and literally unravel all of it, put it in their bags and walk off.
Right.
And that's because there's this sort of really terrible mentality in China of grab now, greed, take it now or you're going to lose your chance type thing. So what they did, and this is really funny,
this is a bit of a combo thing, because it's like
yeah, what did they do? You explain, what did they actually end up doing?
So what they actually ended up, by the way, this is called Hehuanshan, one of the tallest mountains in Taiwan.
Beautiful. We'll give you a Google Maps link. If you're going to do an adventure, you got to come up here.
For
it's
sure.
Just so
it's
nice.
a must, for sure.
Yeah.
So what they did was they put in, I'm not joking, facial recognition software
and machines
into the machines that controlled the toilet paper, like how they divvy it out, basically.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where China waits until a problem gets so bad and then does the craziest measure to try to fix it.
Yes.
And that's what makes it such a fascinating country.
Well, I mean, so they actually went and installed these automated facial recognition machines so that one person could only get like one square,
sorry, it's not pizza.
Whatever, of toilet paper, So the old people in the morning, they'd go there, they could only get one square instead of stealing all of it. But of course the machine stopped working after the first day.
Of course.
And started breaking down and all that.
That's always how that kind of stuff works.
Exactly. Man, we should have come here to fly the drone. It's so much nicer. Anyway,
Oops.
whatever. Yeah, so that's quite hilarious and quite funny. But this is actually a problem that you find in China. Is this sort of greed is leading to all sorts of like horrible things happening in China. Like people, they don't realize that if you basically trap every single bird that there is, that they're not gonna suddenly magically appear. You're actually gonna get rid of them all,
Right.
And you can't fish out every fish out of your local rivers or
You can't
seas.
kill every river dolphin and expect them to come
Yeah,
back.
exactly. But that's what's happening, and then they have to go abroad. And like I've mentioned before, they're constantly catching Chinese fishermen who are, like poaching fish in the seas just off of the South African coast, and every other coast in the world. And they're doing things like they caught a whole bunch of illegal Chinese gold miners in where was it, Uganda or something?
Yeah, and that was a big deal. It was recent.
Oh, by the way, you've got a strap that's flapping in the breeze and smacking the scooter on the other side. So
Which one? This one?
no, other side.
Got a strap slapper?
Yeah. Stop being a strapping young lad.
Can you just fix me?
Okay, all right.
I can't really reach it.
I don't know what you're doing here, but that'll probably do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Continue.
Yeah.
In Uganda or some shit.
But that is another
Uganda
thing.
knuckles.
They know the way,
They did.
But the problem is that they're doing a similar thing down in Africa with the, strip mining all the resources and stuff.
Right.
And it's really wreaking havoc on all of the ecology in all these African nations. And it's an attitude that they have no self-control when it comes to that certain generation. There's no self-control. They don't understand that like you should leave a little bit. Like I was always taught, leave something for other people.
Right.
And that's why we have rules. Like when you go fishing, what'll happen is you can't catch a fish if it's too small. You have to release it. You have to measure it and see if it's a certain size, you can keep it. That kind of thing.
Right.
But quite telling is in South Africa, they're constantly raiding the Chinatown, and they find all this illegally poached abalone and stuff.
Right.
Or abalone. How do you say that, by the way?
Abalone.
It's abalone. Yeah, they'll find like huge amounts of it, which
Abalone.
Yeah, abalone. You don't get no respect.
Why are you so damn sad? You just been moping around these days. I don't get it.
Hey, I've been trying my best to access Facebook, YouTube, all my favorite websites in China. And you know what? I don't know what's wrong with you guys, but I can't access anything. How do you do it?
We blocked them on purpose, you silly. You think you're gonna be able to access any of that information in our China? What are you, crazy? If you want that kind of freedom, you gotta go to Hong Kong. What are you, crazy? Or even Taiwan. If you want to access these kind of websites in China, you gotta use a VPN.
I heard NordVPN's the best one. There's these guys keep telling me I should use it. What do you think?
Don't use it, because then you'll actually be able to see the truth on the internet.
So why is it that you'd want to use a VPN anyway? I mean, if you're not living in China, that is, because obviously, the merits speak for themselves there. Well, think about it this way. A VPN is kind of a way to mask your activity. If you're kind of one of those guys that doesn't like people snooping on what you're doing and seeing exactly what you're doing on the internet, it's really good for you. Also, if you're traveling or even just going to sit in a Starbucks or something, you don't want somebody to snoop in on your internet activities, steal your bank codes, things like that. A VPN can protect you from that. There are tons of different uses, and we've talked about it before. You can get cheaper plane tickets. You can watch Netflix shows that are blocked in certain countries. There's all sorts of things you can do. So I highly suggest you get a VPN, and Nord is the best one that we've found so far. So guys, if you want to get 75% off and a free month, go ahead over to NordVPN/ADVChina.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, they'll basically go in the night and they hire people and they do it themselves, and they'll catch all the abalone, all the endangered species and stuff.
I ate an abalone in Japan, by the way, and they cooked it alive. And I know they don't have feelings or anything because they don't have brains, but it was like I couldn't watch it.
Isn't it just a shellfish?
Yeah, it doesn't have a brain, but it writhes around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
Anyway, I don't know why I just said that.
Yeah.
Wow, look, you can look down on the road we're about to go on.
Yeah, it's awesome
Anyway,
up here.
yeah, I'm actually glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to talk about this. And we started out with toilet paper, right? But I wanted to talk about right now what's happening with China in Africa, and it really follows the same train of thought, like you said, the strip mining, all this kind of stuff. So, China is a freaking what's it called? Imperialist country at this point in terms of their investment and what they're doing in Africa.
Yeah.
And we talked about how it's kind of like we helped you out, we bolstered your economy, we pulled you out of poverty, so you owe us now.
Yeah.
And when they send over these hordes and hordes of Chinese people, that's the attitude they go in there with. So initially, a lot of these nations had very favorable opinions of Chinese in economic intervention, I can say.
Yes, absolutely.
And now that positivity, that kind of welcomeness is withering with all of these different news stories that are coming out.
Yeah.
So you have like Chinese people, like you said, of these illegal gold mines.
Yeah.
That are hiring illegal militias or even arming themselves to basically have a stranglehold over these gold mines, even though it's not theirs. That's Hohanshan, by the way. Isn't that very pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very nice, yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was really interesting that's quickly, like, the positive attitude has changed because of that take-all attitude.
I gotta tell you, beware the Belt and Road.
Yes. Yes.
This is not a good thing. Any nation that's a part of that whole thing, you are selling your soul.
The Belt, One Belt. We have to make a full-fledged video on the One Belt, One Road project.
Yes.
Because you have no idea what a failure that is.
Yes, it's terrible, and people are getting themselves into a lot of trouble. You know, there's another thing that these African nations must really understand when dealing with China, is that China doesn't have this white guilt thing going on.
No.
You know,
No.
like Western nations are appalled at what we did in the past, and you know. And of course it was the same thing, but you got to understand, we didn't have the technology back then to just like strip mine an entire country and destroy
it. Took time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you had men with pickaxes and stuff doing things, you know. Now they just throw chemicals on the ground and whatever else.
And blow up fish with dynamite.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, like, the white colonial powers, they did their number over there, you know. Yeah,
right.
they built infrastructures, they built cities, but they did a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
But especially these days, they're all shameful about it, and they practice a lot of restraint, and you know, they would never do that, and they reparations, and we send aid,
right.
You know. And I'm pretty sure the reason why Western nations send so much aid to Africa is because they feel guilty and shameful for the things that have happened in the past.
Sure.
China has no shame. They will strip a place dry and say, well, thank you for your time, cheers, bye.
Once you let the Chinese government in your door, you can say goodbye to any sort of resources that you had.
And there will be no reciprocity, you know.
No, and think about it like this as well.
Yeah.
China is a country that firmly believes it deserves to have a Western standard of life.
Yes.
But it has too many people to ever make that a feasibility, right?
Yeah.
It's not feasible on this earth for that to happen. So when they have an opportunity to go, you know, get resources, it's not enough in China for, you know, like, let's say rare earths and oil and diamonds and gold and all these, you know, potential revenue sources. They're going to go do it.
Yeah, I mean, just look what they did to the ozone layer recently.
Right.
With those fake chemicals, they've done incredible damage to the earth, to everyone, just because they can save money on their stupid processes to strip plastic or whatever it was they were doing, right?
I want to say a retort as well to a lot of the China apologists.
Yeah.
So Westerners and a lot of Chinese people alike will say, especially in the comments section, that you guys had your industrial revolution, you f***ed up the environment real bad, right?
Yeah.
But
so it's
like you said, you said, it was slow. And yeah, there was massive pollution and stuff in England during the Industrial Revolution, all that kind of stuff, right?
It's like
but
steam
it's not
and coal
the same.
power. Yeah.
It's not the same.
No.
This is times like a million.
Yeah, we're talking about toxic chemicals that didn't even exist back then.
And
yeah.
leaving millions of Chinese people with weird forms of cancer.
Yeah.
You know, just from eating and drinking the water.
Yeah, and you know, also at the same time, we've learned, the West has learned, and the whole world has learned that XYZ chemicals are bad for the environment. XYZ practices are devastating to the ecology of a place, right?
Right.
There was ignorance back in the beginning with the Industrial Revolution and stuff. People just didn't know. They didn't know the damage they were doing, right? But now we know. So what they're doing is they're willfully destroying the environment and willfully causing lots of troubles to the health of the local people in China.
And look at a place like Taiwan that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Very, very much an industrial country. They did a lot of polluting things back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But when they knew, right, when they figured it out, they were like, wait a minute. Now they're like one of the best examples of protecting the ecology of their nation, right?
Exactly. I mean, look at all the smog garbage on this bike, you know.
Right.
It must reach a certain amount of decibels and all that nonsense, you know?
Right.
But yes, exactly. So that's something I think anyone who's involved with dealing with Africa and Chinese people in Africa, just be warned,
right,
and be careful, because what you're doing is you're leaving your larder open to hungry wolves, and if you try to ask them to stop, they'll eat you.
So my piece of advice is, if you're ever tempted, and I'm talking to countries here. So if you're ever tempted to let China in to take your resources, just remember this.
Yeah.
There's no toilet paper in China.
Yes. There's no toilet paper. So anything you'd like to tell our subscribers before we sign off?
What an episode.
It's quite convoluted, but yeah.
But this has been a thing in the news, especially with China's influence in Africa right now. I thought it was interesting to talk about. By the way, it's just absolutely gorgeous here. I have to keep saying that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's lovely.
But I hope you enjoyed it, and let us know what you think. Do you think this is today's comment? This is what I want you guys to write in the comments.
Yeah.
What do you think is the limit of China's kind of growth? What do they deserve, right? Do you think China deserves to have a completely first world lifestyle for every one of its 1.5 billion citizens? Or do you think that there needs to be some sort of happy medium where we don't strip the world bare? Okay.
Yeah, that's such a horrible thing to ask, though, because everybody deserves to have a first world standard of living.
That's the thing. That's where I disagree, though. If you're being realistic,
I mean, everyone deserves, but not everyone can. I mean, I grew up in Africa. I know that it cannot be that way.
Right.
And the politicians might go on about, take the white man's land and then you'll be rich. But that's not going to be the case. You take the white man's land and you're just going to have a piece of land,
Right.
You're still going to be poor.
Right.
It's not going to magically make you wealthy and you got your own BMW all of a sudden, So it's just one of those things, people all around the world in developing nations, they struggle, man. And you got to make the best out of what you got.
Of course.
But I do believe everyone deserves a good quality of life, but they have to fight for it,
And it's not a quick fix. It's not let's strip everything bare. My point is, what can we do about this situation? Leave that in the comments.
All right, cool. Anyway, whether you use toilet paper or not, we love you all the same.
Well, I like a bidet. I'm definitely going to get one in my new house.
Oh, yeah, like those cool Japanese
the
toilets.
Toto washlets.
Yeah.
Love those things.
Hold the line. Anyway.
Oh, God.
Anyway, I couldn't think of a clever thing there. So anyway, we love you all the same. And until next time, just like this beautiful scenery we're riding through here in the mountains of Taiwan, we want you to be awesome and stay awesome.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching ADV China. You can catch a new episode every single Monday at 1 p.m. EST. Up in the top right corner, you can watch another Lao 86 video, which comes out every Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST. And down below the Lao 86 video, you can watch Winston at SerpentZA every single Friday at 1 p.m. EST. Thanks.